Welcome to the Choose on Purpose podcast, where we live with intention, the podcast that fuels your passion and celebrates your journey as a multi-passionate leader. I'm your host, Becky Plotz, here to guide you through actionable insights and empowering conversations designed to help you embrace fear, overcome challenges, and live in your purpose. In each episode, we'll dive into the real, raw moments of growth and transformation that shape our lives and leadership. Whether you are navigating detours or celebrating green light moments, this space is for you to gain clarity, ignite your purpose, and take bold, intentional steps toward your goals. If you're ready to infuse more meaning into your journey and take action toward what truly matters, you're in the right place. Let's grow together. Subscribe now and choose on purpose. So last week, we talked about accountability edge and how we were bringing that to the table for the month of August. We discussed really that out of the box thinking and looking at stepping into our power and that being like a frame of edge, right? And today, we're going to dive deeper into accountability edge and look at how to maximize, okay? How to maximize by choosing intentionally and aligning our actions. So, I want to bring you to the conversation, right? Think about the aligned action steps that build and create strategies to overcome the excuses that you give yourself, right? I can think of so many for myself that I've kind of built in and set there really intentionally to give me extra accountability for certain things, right? We can think of an alarm clock, setting timers for things, those bumpers, right, that keep us in alignment with what we're focusing on, especially in a distracting world that we can live in, and making sure that we know how important it is to have the accountability and that we can stretch to really pay attention to our personal and our professional goals in how we want to grow, because it really builds, right? Every time we do that, that trust builds, the confidence builds. And this month, I'm looking at a framework of EDGE, which I won't share all of that yet. But I love acronyms. So there will be an acronym this month of EDGE. And as we think about the edge of accountability and think about setting clear intentions, right? What are the things that you are prioritizing in your month of August? Have you set some clear intentions of improving your health, right? That leads to specific actions like regular exercise and movement, or, the healthy habits of eating and sleeping. Like, what are we doing to support yourself, right? Like, what are you doing to support yourself in the improvement of your health when that is the intention? That is the goal that you're setting for yourself. How can you bring those goals that we have, right, into view so that we can see that having the long-term goal is great and we need to know what is right ahead of us, right? Aligning those actions to reflect our values and what our long-term goals are. So how can you take aligned action and create some consistency in being able to focus on that, because that builds momentum. Each step compounds and it aligns when you're working towards a specific project and a goal that really have meaning for you, right? That's the alignment of the goal with the values and our purpose. It's all meaningful and it's progress that's happening. So establish that again for yourself, right? And then the edge is maybe looking for those excuses and those barriers that have came up in the past, right? Because we can change it today. I want to empower us all to think about how can we change that when it is, right, a story that we've told ourselves about how, oh, I always quit. No, what if it was you've started things that you've ended, right? And that was because they didn't work or it wasn't the right timing, whatever the excuse is of why that happened. Okay, right? Maybe it isn't that you always do it, but you've done it in the past. It's in the past. Let's find those excuses and release them. That those things that have been preventing us from having accountability and bring in some encouraging accountability to really look at how can you overcome these stories, these barriers? How can you break through those barriers and really build some strategies for yourself to have better time management or, work on the mental shifts in your life when you catch them and being aware that you're catching them, right? I mean, that's being able to embrace a growth mindset and be able to see those seemingly failures or as I like to think of learning experiences or opportunities and think about the strategies that can really build acceptance around being perfectly imperfect and how maybe done is better than perfect, accepting that progress is better than staying still because you're overwhelmed or you're working so hard on making sure it's just right instead of taking some messy and perfect action to get in there and get out there, right? This is a love punch. This is what I would call a love punch. How are you doing with taking messy and perfect action? Right? Like think about that gap between what we want and what our excuses have been allowing us to accept. And let's really give ourselves an honest assessment to say, am I doing those things that I say I want to do that I know will get me closer? And am I doing it like on any level? And then am I doing it to the capacity that I know I'm capable of? To me, this is a huge love punch in the face. There is like me being on camera for the podcast is one of those things that I've committed to for this month, especially with the accountability to build that up and know that, doing solo episodes, I still want to be seen. I still want to be heard and I still want to be committed to coming and bringing value to you. And the love punches that I, would allow myself to just kind of record just audio, which it's a podcast. So that's great. And I know that I can be using this for multi-purpose. And when you're a multi-passionate entrepreneur or leader like we are, then that there's opportunities to share a video. There's opportunities to share podcasts. There's opportunities to have content that you can use as evergreen, that you can continue to use. So, right, we're talking about accountability here. So one of my goals this month is to be seen on video to be able to share information on the podcast. So if you're listening to the podcast on Spotify or Apple, there is a YouTube video that you can see me and experience that way. So let's talk about enhancing accountability and really looking at how we can be enhancing our goals and really maximizing our performance this month as we continue to move around, right? As we continue to move forward and progress and look at how we can be a part of each other's journey and let's share, right? Share what experiences you have with accountability. Think about it. Do you have a positive thought or a negative thought when someone brings up accountability to you? This is something I would love to hear in the Facebook Choose on Purpose with growth community with Facebook. Please share that. What is that for you? Is it more of a positive experience? Is it encouraging accountability that you've received and that you thrive on having accountability? Or do you have more of a negative thought pattern when it comes to accountability because your experience has been blame or shame that came along with accountability, which is the kind that we stay away from in this community. It is about empowering us to move in the direction that we really desire and encouraging one another to know that today's a new day and we can choose again, right? We can choose something new today than we did yesterday, and that we have the freedom to do that. And let's dive in about accountability a little bit more to focus in on how we can be encouraging one another. So think about that area for your life. I gave the example of health. I'll give you an example. I did give you an example of me with the podcast here, and really look at how can you be more accountable to yourself in doing the things that you say you want to do and then completing them, working on them, making progress on them, even if it isn't to the standard to which you think it needs to be or that you desire it to be. Are you able to rest easy, right? Like knowing that you did what you set out to do, what your heart's desire was. Are you doing those things? Can you make adjustments and evaluate the progress that you're making? Let go of any kind of blame or shame that goes along with it, and open yourself up to receive some encouragement that it is a new day. It's an opportunity for you to make another choice and move forward with those goals and the way that you want to show up. And when you share it, you have this layer of accountability that is like holding you, right? And think about holding you like a hug, because I love heart hugs and I always want to hug you. So think about how encouraging accountability is really about sharing that progress and making the moves that we really desire, and knowing that it's going to be imperfect, knowing that we're going to do it our own way, not the way that any specific coach or mentor or icon or whoever has told us or showed us, this is the way. We do it with our own flair too, right? We listen to those people that we have in our life, and we discern what is truly meant for us. That is my encouragement, to always remember that it's still putting your flavor on it, making sure that you're being yourself while being accountable to the things that you say you want, and receiving help and mentorship and all of those things. Make sure that you are staying true to your values and you're staying in alignment, right? Making sure that you're doing the accountable thing and being true to yourself. I think that also goes with some edginess, right? Like making sure that you're putting your own spin on things that's unique to you. So, right, use hashtag accountability edge. Let me know, make a post. I want to hear, what is your accountability edge this month? What would you love to see, you know, elevate in your performance or your goals this month? Would love to hear and shout you out on the next podcast. The next podcast, we're going to be talking about that acronym of EDGE. You're going to want to tune into that. This is going to be a community conversation. So hear from some of the Work on Purpose with Purpose community members in the next episode about our accountability edge theme and using the strategy of edge to bring us closer to living with intention and taking aligned action. I'm your host, Becky Ploutz. This is the Choose on Purpose podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Please engage with us on the community page, which is Choose on Purpose Growth Community on Facebook. Subscribe. Be sure that you rate and review, and we will see you next week. Love yourself, live fearlessly, and do all things with purpose.